Hi, my name is Theo, and you are listening to Between Two Trains. We bring you the best and brightest entrepreneurs in the North DeKalb area on the 1st and 15th of every month. Today, your co-hosts are Van Pappas and Eric Most. And now, Between Two Trains.
Welcome to another Between Two Trains. My name is Van Pappas.
And I'm Eric Most.
And we come to you on the 1st and the 15th of every month with great entrepreneurs. And I'm so excited, Eric. Last episode, we introduced our new sponsor, Ace Hardware. And I think we've got a fun game. We're going to call it...
Can You Ace It?
Can You Ace It? I love it. I can't wait to play. But before we get to our game, I want to introduce our guests. We got Chase Medlin. Is that how you pronounce the last name? Medlin. Yep. And Andy Suggs from Contrast Artisan Ales. Can we just say Artisan Ales, or we throw in the contrast?
You can just say contrast, but not
contrast, just Artisan Ales.
Yeah.
Because I've actually heard some people call it Artisan Ales.
People call it all kinds of things.
Yeah. So
it's confusing for people who aren't like in the know with craft beer.
I hear artesian a lot. Too.
Yes, lots of artesian.
Artesian ales.
Yes,
like
everything comes from a special
means,
well.
Yeah, it's a well that provides its own pressure.
Yes, it provides its own beer. It just comes out of the well.
Well, we'll talk about where that name came from. But before, I'm really excited because I've got something in front of me, Eric.
Yeah.
You do too.
I did too.
A nice gift from Chase and Andy. A cup of beer here. So tell me what... You guys sniff it a little, drink it a little. So tell me, what am I drinking here?
What is it? AMSR? What is this?
What is this? This is one of your brews?
Yeah, so this is the first in a new series called Smash This. And
Smash This.
Yeah, Smash is an acronym for single malt and single hop. And so this one is a German malt variety called Red X. So it makes the beer red. And then the hop varietal is out of the Pacific Northwest. It's called a Tannum.
So how many of these do I have to drink before I want to smash something?
It depends. Your tolerance.
I think the idea is just to crush it,
to
get another, get rid of it, then order another one, right?
Okay. All right.
So we'll have a series of different single malts and single hops that will pair to continue this. But this one's the red beer, so it's very similar to like a almost reminiscent of like an English red, very clean, classic, very drinkable, a little bit of caramel and toffee, but yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's, some craft beers, I drink, and I'm not, the terminology, I kind of know what I like, but you could probably better understand. But sometimes I have one and I felt like I just ate dinner. This, I feel like
thick.
I could drink while eating dinner, know?
So, obviously,
Good
we're recording
beer.
this today, but it'll come out in December, which December is a historic month, right? Because that will be your 1-year anniversary.
Yep, December 14th, we're going to have a big anniversary bash. So,
awesome.
Yeah, we'll have
Is that going to be private or open to the public?
It'll be open to the public.
All right.
Yeah,
so this will come out before, this episode will come out before then. So you're telling all of Chamblee to come to the brewery on December 14th.
Yep, it'll be an all-day affair. Probably have somebody doing food. We'll have bourbon barrel-aged and red wine barrel-aged beers that we'll be releasing and have available bottled for takeaway. And then collaboration we're doing with the Porter Bar and Scepter out of Oakhurst in Decatur. And then probably a band and a DJ as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, I can't wait for that.
Sweet.
Tell us, a little bit about your background. You've got you own a brewery. I'm assuming this is not your first endeavor with beer. Tell us a little bit about the history of you and beer.
So I was a home brewer. I lived in the Pacific Northwest. I used to work in advertising, and the economy tanked and had to look at other things. I ended up moving back east at the end of 2009 and got my first brewing job in mid-2010, June 8th to be exact, because it was the day.
Can you disclose who that was with?
Yeah, Twain's Brew Pub in Decatur. So then I was there for 7 years. I was their brewmaster for about the last 5 years of that time, and then left and consulted for a brewery out of Lawrenceville that was starting a startup. So consulted for them as their brewmaster for a year and 8 months before launching Contrast. So I got all my ducks in a row at the end of my time there with their full support. They're not partnered, but they knew what I was doing and that, I had plans to do other stuff.
So, it can't be easy to open a brewery. I mean, home brewing is one thing. I know there's probably thousands and thousands of people across the country that brew in their home, their bathtub, or wherever they're brewing. What's it like going from that to saying, okay, I'm opening an actual brewery? Can you explain a little bit about how difficult that might be? Because I think some people think, oh, it should be easy, right?
Yeah, well, for me, it wasn't the direct jump. I had years in the industry. Next year, I will have been brewing professionally for 10 years. So, I didn't make that jump from home brewer to brewery owner as some do. But even still, you don't know what you know. You don't know what you don't know until you're there and then. But yeah, very difficult. Yeah, I don't know.
How much regular, a big thing that stands out for me is home brewery, it's you do what you want. Now you're selling something to the public. How much regulation? It's a capital intensive business to get started, to be able to scale, to be able to serve to a wide population as well.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of talk about the regulatory aspect, and then, kind of the capital intense nature of getting started.
Yeah, so it's an equipment heavy business.
Right.
So that means it's a cash heavy business. So you can't finance things the same way you would with everything else. The equipment can stand as collateral on certain parts, but usually it's only collateral for itself.
Correct.
And so then everything else.
What is the bank going to do with it?
Right. Yeah. And then even the valuation is, depending on the
now tell us about what is
industry.
that equipment like? I mean, you're talking about like a big tub. What is it?
I mean, lots of stainless steel tanks. And then a boiler to generate heat, pumps, and a glycol chiller, like a giant HVAC unit that cools propylene glycol, which is basically food grade antifreeze, to cool the cold tanks as well. Walk-in cooler. But yeah, lots of big double insulated heat, and then jacketed stainless steel tanks.
How many of those do you have at your location?
In total, we have 11 stainless vessels.
I had no idea there were that many there.
Yeah.
So
it's
you
crazy.
can, at any given time, you got 10 plus different beers growing?
No, because there are 3 that are just dedicated to the brewing process. And then there are 2 that are just dedicated to the fermentation process.
Okay, so they go from one to the other.
Yeah, and then there's 6 that are inside the walk-in cooler.
So how many beers can you create at any given time?
So we can serve probably up to 10, maybe 11. We can ferment at any given time 2, and then it takes a day to brew each one. So it's hard to say, it takes 1 day to brew one batch.
One batch.
So, yeah.
But then you have to ferment it for 2-3 weeks, depending on the beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you can actually go to the lips of the consumer.
Yeah, and a lot of the fermentation happens within the first few days, maybe 5 days, but there's some conditioning and other effects that will need to take place while it's still in that vessel.
Yeah. So why Chamblee? How did you end up in the location? And let's tell the audience where you're located who may not know. You're kind of tucked away in downtown Chamblee.
Everybody knows, like you were saying, we were talking before the show, we're close to the Frosty Caboose and the City Hall, but a lot of people know where Gus's is. So the easy way for us to tell people is that we share a parking lot with Gus's, and we're around the right side of the strip in the back.
Right.
And
for those older Chambleeites, is that the correct word? Chambleeites?
The old Rust and Dust.
The old Rust and Dust. People who've been here a long time know that shopping center is the Rust and Dust shopping center.
Yep. We're around the back.
Around the back. So getting back to the original question, why there? Why Chamblee?
So I saw, from a far off perspective, I saw a lot of breweries up the 400 corridor. I saw breweries up 75 corridor. I didn't really see much of PIB and 85. It was kind of like, and this was pre Good Word and Slow Pour and people OTP out that way, but there wasn't really anything between like Sweetwater and Athens, along that corridor. And so, at the end of the day, I wanted to be inside the perimeter and then serve an underserved market, and wanted to be on the MARTA line and have a never-ending culinary inspiration source that is Buford Highway at my fingertips.
Yeah. So you think that goes hand in hand with what you're doing, all the Buford Highway restaurants, the diversity, the international flavor.
We make R&D runs where we'll just go buy like 50 different fruits and herbs and spices and come back and do different infusions. And in the coming year, we've just kind of hit our stride. In the coming year, you'll see all kinds of crazy stuff coming out of the brewery. We've kind of kept a lot of stuff close to the vest to get quality, everything really streamlined with our staffing. Andy's full-time as of a couple months ago. And so, yeah, it'll start getting pretty wild.
Now, you're actually only open to the public like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, is that right?
Thursday through Sunday. So 4 days
of the week.
That's right.
But I think most of our listeners who may not realize think, oh, well, wow, that's a great job. I only have to work 4 days a week. I suspect that's really not the case, is it?
No.
What's like your work week like?
Monday through Wednesday is early, usually get started between 7 and 9, depending on what all we have to tackle. And then, kind of more standard till 5 or 7 at night. And then Thursday and Friday, it'll be similar start time, but we'll go until we close. And then same on Friday. I leave a little earlier on Friday and let I have 3 Andrews. So if you're ever in the space, there's a sign that says "Ask about Andrew." So we have 5 other staff members, and 3 are named Andrew. So it's just an inside joke.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and
ask for Andrew. Yeah, right here. I'm Andrew.
Yeah, you're almost certain to always have one Andrew on. Right. But
that's the longest day for me. It's 10 to midnight, 10 a.m. to midnight usually.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah,
which day is that?
Friday.
Wow.
And then Saturdays and Sundays I'm in and out. We have yoga every other Saturday morning, so I'm always there.
Whoa. Rewind. Yoga?
Yep.
In the building.
Do
you drink beer while you're doing yoga?
Afterwards.
Yeah.
So the yoga class is $15, and then it includes a complimentary beer or nitro cold brew coffee after.
Man.
Wow.
I've wanted to do yoga, but I've put it off because I'm like, my fat ass, I don't need to get there. But if I know there's beer at the end of it, that could be really interesting.
That's a driving force.
It's a driving force.
It's for all skill levels.
Yeah.
I'm by no means, intermediate even, and it's
Are
really...
you teaching the class?
No, I take the class. I don't teach the class. We have a local yogi, Julia Smith. She used to teach it.
At Breathe?
What was Infinity? I guess now it's
Infinity.
Yoga Works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
I feel like your favorite would be the Shavasana at the end. That's where you just lay down and close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite part for sure.
It's definitely a thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know. You mentioned kind of the products and some of the things you're trying out. What is the creative process like? I mean, you drive. You got Buford Highway for some inspiration. I mean, is there a science behind it, or is it just like a raw idea? What is it?
A ton of both. So the main 4 ingredients in beer, as most people know, or a lot of people know, is water, malt, hops, and yeast. And so, and malt is barley. And there are other types of malt, but that's the main one, malted barley. But other than that, there is a whole bunch of different stuff you can put in it, but that's kind of like the start. So we'll start with a water profile and a grain bill. So like if it's an IPA, we'll know what types of malts we want to put in it, what kind of water profile we want it to have, and then there is a enzymatic type microbiological reaction that takes place in the mashing, and then there is what would you say? And then
you're talking about in the kettle?
And then the isomerization of hops in the kettle. So and then your yeast is a live fungus that ferments the beer. So there's quite a bit of science involved, and then various yeast strains from around the world as well.
And every single one of them is important. Like, you can't just be like, oh, any water, which you can't just say any yeast. I mean, you could, it just will dramatically change the beer.
And the hops too.
And the hops, yeah.
Every single one of those. It's like cooking. There's so many different things that can make it completely different with just one little
ingredient change.
Now, are we bottling too, or just for the consumption at the location?
So we will be bottling, but only for our like barrel aged releases. But on the regular, we sell 32-ounce cans. It's like a growler, but with a C instead for can, a crowler.
Crowler.
Yeah,
I like
crowler.
that.
So we do that, and we prepackage them for quality
that.
control. And so somebody already has.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Glass Jar Ball, the company, they own the trademark to Crowler.
To Crowler.
Oh, I thought Oscar Blues did.
They made it for Oscar Blues, and it's kind of like a joint thing.
Okay. Oscar Blues, you've heard of, like Dale's Pale Ale.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they with Ball.
And
started
these crowlers will just be for sale at your location, or is the idea to maybe try to get them into other locations?
So we distribute kegs to restaurants and bars. We pre-sell everything so that it's showcased in the proper environment to ideally generate curiosity for people to come see what else we've got going on at the brewery. And
if I went out to a restaurant, what's a restaurant that has your beer in it?
Locally
area?
Here, Southbound.
Okay.
And then Pour in Brookhaven.
Okay.
And There in Brookhaven.
So
we're
we got
talking
a couple in the general area.
Yeah, and then we're talking to our nets. We've been in Kimball House in Decatur and their sister restaurant Watchman's, the Porter Bar in Little Five Points, Argosy in Midway, in East Atlanta Village. My parents' basement, which is it sounds funny when you say that. Yes, we also joined
Andy's
My parents are great people.
Andy's parents, they're really nice.
in
their basement. You go down there, knock 3 times.
Yeah.
His dad will let you in.
Yeah, my parents' basement is a really cool restaurant and beer bar in Avondale Estates, right off of College, like near all the breweries outside of downtown Decatur. And it's a restaurant, beer bar, and comic book shop, and it's a lot of fun.
So what's next after that? We're now going out to restaurants. We got the bottling. What's the next endeavor? Are we gonna maybe expand to more than one location?
We're looking at a second location.
You are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But too early to disclose where you're thinking.
Well, looking around at a lot of different places, everywhere from the Beltline as far out as the GM redevelopment. So just kind of looking at different options. But for right now, it's just the focus is just continuing to rock out in our current space. And then eventually here pretty soon, we'll have some gluten-free options as well for the people who don't like beers as much and want something a little bit more akin to like a alcoholic seltzer, but it won't be so like low calorie and spritey. It'll be a lot more like drinking like a kombucha that's alcoholic or something like that.
I got to believe that your business is going to explode once Chamblee completes the town center project, which is really in your backyard. You know, that all that acreage that's behind you will have 300 plus apartments, 4 stories of office building. That should really help drive a lot of business, I would think.
Yeah, I hope so. For now, it's just, I hear things about it, but it's still to be determined when that'll even start. So.
Yeah, they're looking at, I believe, the last word is probably shovels in the ground in the spring.
Okay.
So we're not too far away, but then
all right.
But then you're talking 18 months to 2 years of construction. So
okay,
you just got to hold out for a couple of years, and then it could pay off. It's like right.
Yeah, he's heard that before.
Right.
It sounds like the old song and dance.
Yeah.
Well, we are up to our break where we got to hear from our sponsor, and then when we come back, we will play our fun new game. Eric, again, what was it?
Can you ace it?
Can you ace it? Brought to us by our new sponsor, the Chamblee Ace Hardware. Of course, you know they are the folks with the helpful hardware. And you can go.
No, Van.
Did I say it wrong?
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Sorry, Ace. I didn't mean to mess that up.
Van is going to come to Brian and Stacy and personally apologize.
Yes, Brian, if you're listening to this episode, I apologize for not getting the tagline right. But if you do have any kind of project, Brian and Stacy, who've been on the podcast, are great there in Chamblee Plaza at the Ace Hardware. So stay tuned for our fun game right after the break.
Hi, this is Jeff Hill with Remote Home Check.
This is Bobby with Gusto.
This is Regina Weir.
Hey, Jan Levy.
Hi, this is Margaret from 3411 Co-working, and you've been listening to Between Two Trains.
Welcome back to Between Two Trains. You can catch us twice a month on your favorite podcasting app. And we are talking today with Chase and Andy from Contrast Artisan Ales, a local Chamblee brewery who has now been in business for 1 year. And so let me tell you how this game works, guys. So Eric's going to read you a question and give you 3 answers to select from. If you get 2 of the 3 answers, you will win this fabulous gift card provided by our sponsor at Ace Hardware. So Eric, take it away.
All right. This is a multiple choice question format, and it's all about how much you know about beer. So here we go. In 2017, a new Georgia law did what? A, make it legal for breweries to sell beer to go on site. B, so that all Georgia beer could not be above 6% alcohol by volume. Or C, requires that anyone buying beer from a brewery would have to sing the UGA fight song before they would be able to make their purchase.
It's a really tough one.
It's got to be. It's got to be the
Collectively,
UGA.
we get to answer all of them.
You can,
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
go for it.
Yes.
I think the UGA fight song.
Could be all of the above.
I don't know.
The South Carolina fans.
We're going to go A.
Hey, you are
In
correct.
addition to that, it allows breweries to sell direct. We never could sell a pint or a beer to anyone. Before, it was a deal where you bought a souvenir glass with a tour. With
you pay $20.
So yeah,
and
you
do
can
a
now
tour.
buy a beer there, and
Direct,
you can buy
yeah.
a beer to go. So
So
a little extra for your answer.
when it comes to business questions, just to follow up on that. So when it comes to like your point of sale, are you able to like start a tab and then close
Yeah.
people out?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
new. Yeah.
That probably enhances
that
the
law.
experience for, I would think, for most folks.
Sounds like Eric needs to visit Contrast.
My wife's been there.
I've been there.
And I will go. That's a sure thing.
Yeah, so you're saying I can come in, I can drink all night, I can pay my tab, and then I can buy one of those, what do you call them?
Crowlers. Yep.
To go.
Yep.
Nice. All right, what we got next, Eric?
All right. Which statement is real? Amsterdam pays alcoholics in beer to clean streets, and it's 5 cans of beer for a day's work. B, at the wife carrying world championship in Finland, first prize is a wife's weight in beer. Or C, when scientist Niels Bohr won the Nobel Prize in 1922, the Carlsberg Brewery gave him a perpetual supply of beer piped directly into his house.
That sounds oddly familiar, but I don't actually know.
Me too.
Yeah,
That's
I know
what
it's
was
A
thinking.
is out, but,
Oh, yeah.
but C sounds familiar.
We'll go C.
You are correct, but
Correct.
all 3 of the
Okay.
answers are correct.
B sounded familiar as well. A just didn't sound familiar.
Amsterdam does
Let's
pay
revisit.
alcoholics beer to clean the streets, but my favorite is the...
That is wild. I thought surely that wasn't true.
I was thinking correct with B when I
So-
heard it, and then I was like, but C sounds so familiar. But
And the
I did not
wife
know
carrying
A.
The wife-
contest? I got
wife carrying contest. I
It's
think
kind of a catch.
I think we need to create that event here in Chamblee. And we could have your brewery sponsor it, and you could give the winner the...
We can't have the same prize because of Georgia law. That's too much. Unless it's a very light wife.
Well, it would
what?
be
No,
like a
wait,
tab.
there's a...
Oh,
there's-
we would
tab to pay
calculate
off.
that amount.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, so explain this. There's a Georgia law that says what?
The dollar amount could be your wife's weight.
That's true. Yeah.
that-
Whatever
Yeah.
the wife's
Maybe that
weight
would be
is
a
the
good
dollar.
business thing.
Yeah.
Explain to me this law, though. What's the law say?
What's the takeaway quantity?
So it's about 2 gallons that you can take away from. It's 1 case of beer per person per day.
So even
it's
though I
about-
can come in and buy one of these crowlers, I can't buy more than 2 gallons worth?
Yeah, so you could buy 8 crowlers to equal 2 gallons. Or,
Okay.
Yeah, or case somewhere else. But yeah, 2 gallons is like
But we
kind
could,
of the liquid
with the
max.
game, if it was the wife's weight in beer, they don't have to take it all at once,
Yeah, that's what
right?
you were saying.
No, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Have a tab,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they buy just enough each time they come in,
Yeah.
covered by the thing.
You could do
I
it
think
in
that would be a great
do it-
contest
do
for
it-
Chamblee.
do it-
Chamblee could become like Finland.
well, and do it in conjunction with one of our former guests, Elite Edge. So if you can't
Ooh.
carry your wife, maybe you could work out and train for a bit.
Yeah, and we could tie it into the Chamblee Mud Run. No?
Is there a Chamblee Mud Run?
Oh
Muddy
yeah,
Wife.
yeah. Every year there's a Chamblee Mud Run.
What?
It's the middle school puts it on.
Crazy.
It's sponsored by their foundation.
You know what? I think I saw John Mesa wearing one of those orange T-shirts. the other
Yeah,
day.
I'm sure. I've run it a couple of times. My kid runs it every year.
Nice.
Yeah, get
feel
all
like-
muddy. Throw in wife carrying to the
I
competition.
feel like to be PC, it needs to be spouse carrying, and it can be either way.
Oh,
just gonna go
look
there.
at Andy being politically correct. I
That's-
like that. Yes, spouse carrying.
I'm not going to be the
Chamblee
one to carry
spouse carrying contest.
I'm not going to be the one to carry the insurance for this event. Just by the way.
I know.
A
What
beer
happens?
and person.
What happens if you
person
drop
carrying
your
contest.
spouse?
Or what if you break your leg?
Yeah. And you know what I understand
See
is
David Carter for all your prenup.
oh my goodness, good plug to a previous co-host. I like that. It's my understanding that the way the winners of this carrying contest is they put their wife's legs over their shoulders and carry them in a bear hug with their wife's head facing down so that the bulk of their weight is up against their front body and their legs are curled over their shoulders.
That is wild.
So if you dropped your wife, you're dropping her on her head.
Yeah. So,
What
or
could-
you're falling on top.
Yeah,
of
you'd
it.
effectively
Or you're falling
break
on
her
top
neck.
of her.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing. Let's do
nothing.
it. I say,
Nothing.
let's have
Yeah.
more of this beer that they've brought us, and then
Yeah.
let's strategize about that. All right,
so-
so we've gotten 2, but we got one more question.
They're acing it so
They
far.
are acing
It comes down to
so
this
go
one.
see Chamblee Ace Hardware.
It comes down to this one question: Why is beer beer? A, it was a drink created in Mesopotamia in 5 BC. B, comes from a German word called Dunkler Eber, meaning dark boar. Or C, was invented by mistake in 1088 by a wheat farmer when he was washing his clothes and accidentally drank some of the water his clothes had been in.
So the origin of beer is not like there is a written word in Mesopotamia. Like the character exists, but no one knows the origin of wine or beer or alcohol really, because it's before history. So it's not. It arguably isn't going to be A, even though there is characters in like Sanskrit and stuff. But I would say B, but I don't.
Yeah, I think
What
B
was
too.
B, Eric?
B comes from a German word called Dunkler Eber, meaning dark boar.
So you're going with B?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you, it was A. You are correct, though.
I'm correct.
The first
I know
written acknowledgement of beer was from an Egyptian tablet that describes it in 5 BC. But
Yeah.
you're saying that's not really
I'm
correct.
saying the history of it has it as far back as history goes. There's characters for it, but there's not a known original origin. So,
yeah,
but that's
if
like
it was about the
etymology.
word beer, I feel like
Yeah.
because it says why.
We'll give it to him anyway.
So this can you ace it section is under protest. it sounds like.
Well, they got two. They got the
two or
first
three
2
anyway.
right, so they still win the
So they
gift
ace
card.
it. Everyone knows the rules.
You get this wonderful gift card to Ace
All right.
Chamblee. There you go. Enjoy it. Go there for your next brewery project when you need some screws or whatever
Yeah, we
it
go
is.
there a pretty good bit, so that'll come in
Go
handy
see
for
Brian
sure.
and say hello. So we're pretty much almost out of time, but tell our listeners, a little bit the exact. We already mentioned where you're located, the hours on Thursday through Sunday. What time is the opening?
So Thursday we go from 5 to 10.
Okay.
Friday we're 5 to 11. Saturday we're 2 to 11, and Sunday we're 2 to 8. But we might be adding Wednesdays soon. and we might go a little later on Thursdays and Fridays.
What's the rationale for adding Wednesday? Is that
Just a lot of people pop by or ask us to be open more days. And so,
now that you've been open a year, you've got it figured out, and adding a day is not as difficult?
Yeah, well, yeah, as the demand rises, it's kind of one of those things. At first, we wanted to push the demand to those days, and then when it makes sense to have people there on staff on the other days, we certainly wouldn't want it to just be slow. So if we're going to have people there.
And you also have the December 14th open
Yep.
open house. What do you?
Our anniversary. It's our first anniversary.
What time will that start?
Probably 1 p.m.
Okay.
Yep.
I was hoping he was going to say 9 in the morning or something.
Be all out.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. If you haven't been to their location, go check it out. I know the Chamblee pub crawl comes there pretty regularly, for their little event each month. And Eric, any parting words from Chase?
I will. My wife's been. I have not been. I'm excited to come check it out, and I will not carry my wife.
You're not going to carry her
into the store. No, I'm going to avoid that as long as I can. Not because I can't carry her.
Yeah, she's small.
It's just
you can carry her just like easily.
Well, Chase brought up the carrying the insurance. I'd rather avoid that liability altogether.
I say we get the city to sponsor it. Let their insurance cover that.
Okay, you know more than I do on that.
I mean, our mayor's a big beer drinker. He would love it, I think. You don't think Eric would like this? He would love this.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe not. All right. Well, I'm just going to finish my beer here and say thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another great episode of Between Two Trains.
This is Chase.
And this is Andy.
From Contrast Artisan Ales.
And you're listening to... Did I say that wrong?
This is Chase.
And this is Andy.
And you are listening to... Oh, shoot.
Contrast
All right.
Hell yeah, we messed up twice.
This is Chase.
And this is Andy.
From Contrast Artisan Ales.
And you're listening to...
Between Two Trains.